All right, we're going to talk about how to make a face, a solid chunk of clay face. And then later on in another video, I'm going to show you how to take your beautiful face sculpture that you've made and hollow it out. So we're working on a solid form, and then eventually we will turn it into a hollow form. So the first thing is get some clay. So this is a little bit of a big chunk of clay. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Let's work smaller, so like tennis ball size, racquetball size, if anyone's a fan of racquetball. You can see the size here. You could work a little smaller than this. That's totally fine. I would say golf ball size is probably about as small as you would want to work. But make a nice solid ball of clay. And that's going to be your face. We're not going to do too elaborate of a face here. I'm going to show you the basics of what I do when I'm trying to make a face, and then you can fuss with it as much as we want and add details. So the first thing I'm going to do, this is a sphere, so I'm going to kind of press it down a little bit and make it a little bit flatter. And then I'm going to give it a face shape. So I'm kind of pressing in to make it a little bit more oval towards the bottom. So I'm not doing that towards the top half, because the top half of your head's usually kind of rounder, but just the bottom, just making a V with my hands, giving myself a little bit more of a face shape. So it's not looking like anything too special yet. Let's give it a little bone structure. Okay, so when you are drawing a face, you want to think about halfway across is going to be your eye line, and then there's going to be like a line of symmetry down the center. Halfway down there is going to be where your nose is, and then a little bit below that is going to be where your mouth is. So that's kind of our aim here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thumbs. This is the advantage to working to this size. So I may have to adjust a little bit based on how big you did this. I'm going to make my thumbs. I'm going to put it like kind of middle, and this is going to be my eyes. So I'm going to just press in. And it makes like two cavities. Like when you're thinking about 3 dimensions, if you look at your eyes are in sort of a recessed area. And then there is the eyebrow above, and then the bottom flares out to the nose. So I'm going to straighten this out. This kind of widens out really far. I'm going to press in. I'm just kind of pressing with my fingers a little bit more straight down. So it's a little bit more narrow at the bridge. It gets a little bit wider. So just by doing that, I have eyes and nose. Okay, it's actually been a while since I've done this, so I'm kind of feeling my way as I go, but this step is a real big step in making a face. So now I can go in here and smooth that out a little bit, but I need my nose to stick out more. So the profile doesn't look right. So I'm going to take a little bit of clay. Can add some slip if you would like. You don't really have to. We're going to just press it in. I'm going to add, you can see my 3-dimensional here. I'm going to add a little bit of clay. I'm just kind of pinching it on there, pinching and pressing and paying attention to the profile. And I'm going to smooth out at the top, and I'm going to smooth on the sides and smooth on the side. So anytime you are working on one of these steps, feel free to pause the video. Now he's got kind of a wonky nostril there. It's quite a hook nose. He could be an excellent villain, or she, or they. They could be an excellent villain. We won't pin this person down yet. Okay. So I'm just smoothing all around. I'm going to have to add some nostrils because this poor person can't breathe yet. But now I've got a good profile there. And I could give it a little bit of a upturned nose. I could play around with that. It's up to you. If you think that's a little bit too skinny, you could widen it out a little bit. You could add a little bit more clay. You may have to add a little bit more clay as you go. But this looks good. And then I'm going to roll a couple little tiny balls like that. And nostrils. Those are kind of enormous. So but working big is good because you can always take away clay as you work. So I'm just going to smoothen my 2 little clay beads and make some nostrils. Probably should have adjusted the lighting in here. So it's a little rough still. I'm going to, so underneath the nose, you want to probably kind of make that a little bit more of a straight. You know, think about, look at somebody's nose and see like what the shape looks like from underneath. You may get uncomfortable. Like look at someone's nose from underneath. It should look something like that. Ask permission first, please, if you're looking at somebody's nose. But otherwise, just kind of look around at the shape in general. And fuss around with that nose. I'm going to, I'm going to use my fingernails underneath the nostrils. I'm going to kind of dig in with my my fingernails to create a little definition. So that way, and you can also, if you have one of these tools, these like kind of curvy tools, you can use that. But it helps to look in a mirror. So once you've got a nose, it looks pretty close. You know, you can fuss with that, make it look good. You want to give it some nostrils. So I'm going to cut a little slash that way. Cut a little slash that way so you can see that underneath the nose, I'm just creating like some divots. I could probably make that a little bit more even. That should be fairly symmetrical. Just kind of pulling out a little bit right there, giving it some nostrils. Boom, nose. Noses are actually easier to sculpt than draw, I think, because you are working with just 3 dimensions. So now you could go back in and kind of fuss and add, you know, the more you fuss with the clay when it's really plastic, the more it's going to kind of move around on you though. So there's a nose. All right. Now, let's go back and do eyes because it's going to start getting creepy. So I like to use this curved tool, but you can use, you know, you can use whatever you can find. Anything you can find that's kind of curved. Let's make 2 curves for the tops of the eyes. And I'm going to use straight line. Also, I just want you to know that I used to make figurative sculptures all the time, and I used to make faces, and this was kind of my jam. However, that was in the late 1990s, so last century, giving them some eyebrows. So I'm real out of practice, so I'm just kind of winging it. So don't worry about it. You just got to play around. I'm just using my tools to kind of, I'm going to use a little circle. I'm going to press in to make the dark part of the eye. Or maybe what I can do is I can find something that is a small cylinder. That looks like it's going to be too big. This is probably not what I should use. But boy, did that make a really good. So if you have a microphone plug laying around, find something that's little and small that you can poke in there and make your pupils. The pupils or the irises are the colored part of the eye, and the pupils are the black part of the eye. That circle should take up the whole eye shape. So now usually the cheeks come out from the eye, so these are really flat here. So I'm going to add a little bit of cheekbone here. I'm just going to kind of shove a little clay on to create hair in the clay. That's always classy. I'm going to add a little bit there to create that curve of the cheekbone. So I'm just adding that there, and then I'm going to mix it in. So this is something that you could spend hours and hours and hours on fussing. I'm trying to do this kind of quickly though. Okay, let's go ahead and deal with the mouth. Okay, so when I'm making the mouth, So I've got it kind of smooth. You can see the profile here. What I like to do is I like to take a tool and I like to just kind of, I'm going to do this, the side of the lip, I'm going to dig in and push up. And then on this side, I'm going to dig in and push up. So I'm pushing up for the lip. So that kind of creates a little bit of a lip. You can use this curved tool, pushing, like digging in and pushing up. Because your upper lip, if you're looking at your upper lip, usually kind of like tilts up like that. So that's how I make the upper lip. I just kind of push up some clay. Then I'm going to push it up a little bit with my fingers. It's not terribly in focus. There we go. And then for the bottom lip, this curved tool is really great. If you have something like this at home, use it. Otherwise, find something curvy that you can just kind of dig in and push up a lip. So I dug in. I'm going to try to do that from like a side. And I pushed up. And then I'm going to kind of fold in that clay underneath the lip to make my chin. Now, is this the only way to make a clay face? No. I am literally just making up as I go. So if you find a tool that you can kind of like push up a little clay and that looks like a lip, then use that. You do not have to use the same tools as me, same process. I'm just showing you how I would make a face shape. And this has been something that I've done many times before. Therefore, you know, I'm a little bit practiced. So I'm going to make that. Okay, and then I'm going to work on my face shape. I'm going to kind of edit a little bit. I'm going to kind of round out my chin. Okay, so now this is just still a solid block, and I'm going to add some hair. I'm going to just make a big flat piece of clay. Really flat, super flat. Use your roller. I don't have a roller with me. Get one real quick. Or not. Okay, so here's a good trick I like to use with hair. I'm going to take my scoring tool and I'm going to make kind of wavy lines. So it's kind of scored. And then I'm going to score where I want to add my hair. A little bit of water, not a ton. And I'm going to add this. Actually, I should probably score the other side. Where I'm actually going to add it, I'm going to score the side. But that side that I scored with my wavy lines, I actually want those wavy lines to be the lines of hair. So now I'm going to add this on top because hair lays on top of your head. Look, she's got a little flip. She's like a little 1960s girl. And I've got hair on top of my head. Kind of like skater hair, maybe. I don't know. So now I've got hair doing this, and you can make a really flat slab, texture it, and then slip and score it to add it on top to make any kind of hairstyle that you would want to make. This is how you're going to do your clay sculpture. Looking for a little bit of extra clay. Can give your person a mohawk or short hair or long hair, whatever you like, but I would make that hair layer real thin. You know, that's why I'm kind of showing you how thin that I'm making this. I'm going to smooth out this edge because it's a little bit rough. I don't want my hair layer to be rough. I'm going to give it a little bit of texture. I'm going to score the other side. I'm going to score. Now, if your clay face looks crazy, it may be because it might be the first clay face you've made. This is something I've done like a lot of times. Now, I haven't done it in a while, so I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out. But I'm going to just kind of trim off a little piece. I use my fingernails a lot when I am trying to cut something on the fly here. This haircut looks a lot like my Aunt Janet, which is not really what I intended to go for, but I'm gonna stick with it. So now I can go in and I can edit that hair there. I can add in some more marks, kind of do the part. You can have a lot of fun with hair. Just think of it like as a textured slab with the texture is the lines of the hair. So now I've got this solid face with some hair. I could go in and I could fuss with the details. I could smooth it out. But in your next lesson, also I probably will smooth this out a little bit and texture it so it's 3D. In your next lesson, I'm going to show you how to let this get to a little bit drier point, slice it, hollow it, and add it back together so that you have a good hollow form. And then you can use that technique for any of your clay sculpting. And that's making a head. All right, have fun with that.